Ladies and gentlemen, we got late breaking news. We got late breaking news on FSPN here. FSPN, the Frankie Sports Programming Network. Um, we got breaking news. The Jets have signed wide receiver Garrett Wilson to a new contract. Yes, indeed, we got him. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. Garrett Wilson got extended. Yep, he got it. He got it. We got him. Garrett Wilson. Breaking news as of a few minutes ago. Todd is here. Todd, we have breaking news. Let me know if you can hear me okay, Todd. Uh, this microphone hopefully is working okay. Seems okay on my end. Let me know if you can hear me, Todd. We got a breaking news segment for FSPN. Garrett Wilson, 4 years, $130 million. Garrett Wilson is a New York Jet for the foreseeable future. Let me know if you can hear me okay in the chat, Todd, or anybody else. Check, mic check, mic check, microphone checking. All right, Todd can hear me. All right, Todd. Thank you, sir. We got breaking news, Todd. And what this really means, too, is that it's good news all around because it means that Darren Muji finally did something. Uh, and we extended a player that we all wanted to extend and have here for the long term. And thank you, Jesus, Infrared says. And I told you guys not to worry about it. We're going to get it done and we'll get Sauce done, too. But the good news also is that Garrett Wilson, doesn't want to leave. Garrett Wilson wants to be here. That's uh, that's probably the best part about all of this is that Garrett said, "Yeah, I'll sign on to being on this ghetto ass team for until 2030." I got, hey. Now some people are going to say, "Hey, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is an overpay," which really it's not because the whole contract isn't guaranteed for first of all. And second of all, it's forward looking. So, as I told you guys yesterday on the Coffee with Frankie, this extension would not, I said yesterday, and now it's confirmed, does not affect this year at all. It's an extension. So, in other words, we didn't need this cap space. One of the excuses people would give, Frankie, we need this cap space that Muji has acquired in order to, because we got these contracts. Don't we need the space for that? And I said, no. And they said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, it's going to be an extension, which means it doesn't affect this year. So the cap space we have this year isn't affected at all. So we have Garrett Wilson, we extend him, and we still have all that cap space for other people that we want to sign. And the same thing's going to apply for a Sauce when we get him done. And we should also hope that they're thinking about extending AVT and John Simpson as well. Both of those gentlemen deserve an extension, even though AVT has some injury risk. Still, when you have a player that good and you're the Jets, you got to sign them. You got to take the risk. That's the way it goes. Because we don't get a chance to have these good players coming through the door that often. When you get them, you got to hold on to them. And the other thing is, look, 32.5 seems like a lot now, but he doesn't get 32.5 now. He doesn't get it until, I think Connor Hughes said 2027. So the market's going to look a lot different then. And so this is just a good forward-looking contract done by Muji and crew. And I think it's all to the good. You might look at it and say, wait a minute, he's way too overpaid. 32.5 a year, that's way out of whack, but he's not that this year. And we got to pay a Jets tax anyway. We're the Jets. Well, we got to pay extra for these people. Nobody's going to take a bargain to stay here. You know what I mean? So there's that, and the market's going to look different in 2 years. Other people are going to come along and surpass these amounts, and then Wilson's going to look good. And it's all good. Wilson gets a lot of guaranteed money. 90 million out of the 130 was guaranteed. That's a solid deal for him. $90 million is a lot of money for anybody. And so he gets that guaranteed no matter what happens. And so, from his standpoint, okay, got it. He's all set for life, pretty much. Even if he never gets another contract, which he also will, though. But um, so that's good. And so he's committed to us. He likes the program that AG and Muji are putting into place. And that's probably the best aspect of all this. You have a good player who many people reported wanted out of here, and maybe that was related to Rodgers. Maybe he just didn't get along with Aaron Rodgers. It seems like that's the case, actually. But, hey, and now Aaron Rodgers gone. Bye-bye. And so, Garrett's going to be here, and let's hope that his buddy from Ohio State can flourish and become a top QB. Wouldn't that be nice? And maybe we could surprise everybody in that damn place. Let's surprise the whole NFL. Wouldn't that be nice? We surprise the entire NFL. All of a sudden, Justin Fields is putting up touchdowns all over the place. Garrett Wilson's going crazy. Breece Hall going crazy. Mason Taylor going crazy. Everybody going crazy. Why not? Why not? That would be fantastic if we could just win some ball games. Just win, baby. Yeah, but remember, the person who said that, their team doesn't win very much. And so if all you do is say, just win, baby, that's not going to get you very far. You got to know what are the things we need to do in order to win. And one of the things we need to do in order to win, Todd, is sign people like Mr. Garrett Wilson. So it's a good day for Jet fans. And I think if people say to you, ha ha, this is what they're going to say to Jet fans, by the way. This is what's going to happen now in our online discourse. Ha ha, you overpaid for a mid, wide receiver. You gave a mid wide receiver $32.5 million. Ha ha, Jet fans. Ha ha, they will say. And I think what you should do is just smile and say, yeah, and we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. Is it a slight overpay? Nah, I don't think so. But the point is, who cares what other people think? I mean, the fact is, even if it is an overpay, so what? We have to overpay to get people. That's just the way it is when you're in the ghetto. That's the way it is, man. And so don't worry about it. If people, don't let it get on your nerves. Don't let people, royal you up. Don't let people, get you all nervous, because who cares? We now have Garrett Wilson here. And by the way, it's not going to hurt our cap that much, because when the time comes when it kicks in, which is in 2 years, we'll just convert the salary to what? A signing bonus, and spread it out over the length of the deal. This is a guy that's going to be on your team, for a long time. So that's a type of guy you can do the signing bonus trick with, right? Right, Omatic? Omatic is here. Frankie! Hey! Omatic! Frankie! Right? So it's not even going to hurt our cap in the future. It's not hurting us this year at all. His contract is the exact same as it was yesterday, as it is today for this year. Doesn't hurt us this year. Doesn't hurt us next year. Then when it kicks in, he gets his big money. We just convert his salary to a signing bonus, spread that out, and it's going to be very reasonable. It's fine. So anybody who wants to tell you we overpaid, just smile. Just smile and say, yes, and we were happy to do so. We love our Garrett Wilson. We love this man. He's ours. Look, we don't get to have superstars very often. And you say, well, wait a minute. This guy's never made an all-pro. This guy's never been in a Pro Bowl. What are we talking about? But that's true. But he's never had a good quarterback either. And so, look, a player as good as he is, regardless, he hasn't made a Pro Bowl, he hasn't made an All Pro. I understand. We got to overpay and get him. So you should just smile and say, yeah. And we were happy to do so. Happy to use Woody Johnson's money to do so. Very happy to do so. We love Garrett Wilson. You think it's an overpay and you think that's a problem? Mazel tov. Good for you. First of all, it's not a problem, cap wise. Second of all, cash. Who cares? That's Woody Johnson's money, the cash. So who cares about that? Let Woody write some checks out to these people, and we love Garrett Wilson, and that's it. That's it. That's what they will tell you. Now I'm going to check on what the beat reporters have come to life, obviously. And now what they're talking about is, well, now that this deal's done, what about Sauce Gardner? But even Sauce Gardner said he's not worried about it. Rich Cimini. So I was wondering if Rich Cimini was actually alive because he hadn't been posting anything the last couple of weeks, but he's alive. He's here. Diana Rossini has something. Of course, why does Rossini have to have a column on this? There's already an athletic reporter named Zach Rosenblatt. He can't write the article? Oh, she's a link into Zach Rosenblatt's article. Oh, sorry. That's something else the athletic people do. They stick up for each other. I don't know. Everybody seems pretty positive about it. Zach Rosenblatt says this is also Garrett Wilson committing to this new regime, a belief in the culture Aaron Glenn is establishing in these early days. So, yeah, like what I said, Glenn Muggi and ownership has made it clear, both publicly and privately, how much they value Garrett, and that matters to him. Good. This is feel-good stuff. We love Garrett Wilson. So anybody tells you it's an overpay, just smile and say, yep, and we're happy to pay it. We're happy to pay it. We love Garrett. That's just the way it is. Fourth most guaranteed money to wide receivers, highest APY. That's true, but it doesn't. So this is the way they're going to attack you as a Jet fan. But keep in mind, the APY for Garrett doesn't kick in until 2027. The market's going to look much different than it does now. All these other people on the list, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, they already have their contract in hand, and that money's being paid now. Wilson is in 2 years from now. So this is the forward thinking of Muggi. I think this is also why we should be happy with this deal. Muggi and crew are thinking forward, doing some forward thinking. We got to think about the market in 2 years from now, and it's going to go up. Obviously, this is the way it goes. So you can't. So Cimini, of course, is now posting deceiving information, which is why you come to El Francarino, because I tell you the real story. And the fact is, this is deceiving information from Cimini because he's comparing players who have a contract now, paying them the amounts he's looking at, which is not the case with Garrett. This doesn't kick in for 2 years. Remember that. When they tried to gaslight you, that's what the point of this post of Cimini's is. Most guaranteed money to wide receiver he's posting. Highest APY, and he posts a list. And anybody who would look at that list would say, well, wait a minute. Garrett Wilson isn't as good as these other guys based on his numbers, that he's put up so far. And that would be true. But first of all, again, he's not making that money now. These other guys are. So it's an unfair comparison. And second of all, he hasn't had – look at the quarterback situation he's had. He had to play with Chris Streveler and Zach Wilson, some of the worst quarterbacks ever, and a broken down old Darren Rodgers, who was all concerned about the red line and this and that and God knows what else. So, yeah, that's what I think. This is the point of attack. People are going to try to throw cold water on this, because anytime anything good happens to the Jets or for Jet fans, you have these morons like Dick Chimney coming around with cold water to throw on your head. And I'm here to tell you how to combat the cold water on your head. Okay? Big Green is here. We missed you, Big Green. Been getting away from the Jets for a while. Well, you got to do what you got to do for your mental health, Big Green. And I can understand this team can drive a man to drink. You know, can drive a man to drink. And when I say drink, I mean drink. So, whatever you got to do, buddy, we'll be here, Big Green. We'll be here. So good to see you back, Big Green. But that's the way it is. That's what's going on. Let me just check something here. There's too many bots on X. Still, bots are ruining social media. You know that. Let's see what else we got here. And be do. Now let's go back to our Jet beat writer list and see. Yeah. So you know, at least I got to give Connor Hughes some credit here. You know, I've been a critical of Country Club Connor, in the past, and I do think that my criticism in particular, and Green Bean and others, helped to reform Connor a little bit, get him a little bit better. So I feel good about that. But you got to give Connor Hughes credit because here's Connor Hughes's tweet about it 25 minutes ago. The freaking out over the $32.5 million per year seems silly to me, Connor Hughes says. Well, it's more than A.J. Brown, yes, but that was typical Howie Roseman foresight to get that deal done when he did. Brown, like Wilson, will eventually look like a bargain. It's a bargain. Again, yes, this is correct. Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, Terry McLaurin, Michael Pittman, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Rashee Rice, and others all do extensions/new deals within the next few years, and that will move the market forward. Yeah, and that's right. Connor got something right here. Hank G is here. Good to see you, Hank G. And so you got to give the guy credit when he's putting out, good information, and that's the way to look at this. Is it a tiny bit of an overpay? Sure, but we're happy to pay it. We, as Jet fans, are happy for Woody to pay it because we don't get our hands on talents like this very often, right? So Goldstein says, it's a fair contract. So I think, Goldstein, that people, non-Jet fans, are trying to laugh at Jet fans with that argument, right? But anybody who looked at it objectively says, yeah, it's a fair contract. Just what Brian's saying right here. It's a fair contract. And I agree. But what I'm saying, Goldstein, what I said before, before you were in this very room, before you were in this very chat, I was saying that other people are going to be throwing cold water on Jet fans' heads with this argument. So I'm trying to make the case of how to respond to these idiots when they tell you, ha ha, you gave Garrett Wilson $32.5 million and he's not as good as these other people who make Pro Bowls and All Pros and Super Bowls, and Garrett Wilson hasn't done nothing. And, so I say, listen, first of all, it's an extension. He's not making 32.5 this year or next year. He'll be making that in 2 years and then going forward. And the market will move and it will look like a much better deal at that time. And second, we're the Jets. We have to pay a little bit more to get people like this. Yeah. And we're happy to pay it. We love Garrett Wilson. We want him here. If it is a slight overpay, who cares? It's Woody Johnson's money. It's not going to hurt us in the cap, and it's going to be fair market value when it kicks in, which is in 2 years, not this year. So when people give you a list of all the wide receivers and how much money they make and their annual amount per year and the percent of the cap and how much guaranteed money they got, and they try to create a list. Understand, Garrett Wilson's contract is not in effect now. That amount of money, so they're comparing people who are in the contract that these big money contracts to Wilson, who's not in that yet. He'll be in it in 2 years. So do the list in 2 years, Dick Chimney, you moron. Not now, because that's an unfair comparison now. And the only reason he's doing it, of course, is to say, throw some cold water on this good news. Today's a good news day for Jet fans. We have very few of those on a in a year's worth of calendar days. There's very few days like today where we can be happy about something, right? And so, of course, Dick Chimney has to take a big pot of cold water and throw it on the heads of Jet fans. Wherever Dick Chimney goes, people should just throw tomatoes at him, really, just to let him know, what are you doing? What kind of an asshole are you? This is one of the best days the Jet fan has had in the last, maybe in a long time. We got a guy that we love and who's really good, and we got him on the team long term. And here Dick Chimney is trying to throw cold water on it with deceiving lists. What is that all about? Exactly. Somebody needs to throw tomatoes at this guy, really. Hank G. It's about market value. Yeah, it's always about market value, Hank. I mean, the way these contracts get done is all about comps. Like if you've ever bought a house, Hank, I don't know if you've ever bought a house, right? You have these things called houses. You've heard of them, right? How do houses get sold in a neighborhood? They say, well, this house has this square footage and this many bedrooms and this many bathrooms, and there were 4 other houses in this neighborhood that have the same approximate, size and space and all, and this is what they sold for. So this is what we're selling this house for, right? It's called a comp. Right? A comparison. And it's the same thing in the NFL. This is what agents do. They say, my guy is better than this guy. This guy got this much. You got to give me more. That's all they do is comps. This is what agents do. People think these agents are some freaking geniuses. All they do is say, hey, wait a minute. TJ Watt, this guy got a contract over here and TJ Watt's better. So the agent goes, wait a minute. How can this other guy, who's worse than my guy, how can he be making more money? No, TJ needs more money. Sorry, Steelers. Same thing with Hendrickson, the Bengals. Going, wait a minute, look at what I just did for you, and look at what you're paying me, and these other people are making more, and I'm better than them? No, you got to pay me more, Bengals, right? It's always about the market value and comps. Same way with houses. And so that's what people are trying to say is wrong with this contract, and they are wrong. This is a good contract for both sides. Brian says, I'm glad they did Wilson first. I'd like to see Sauce play a little bit in season before extending him. He was average at best last season. Well, he wasn't average at best. He was still like a top 20 corner. So they're not going to wait. I don't think they're going to wait with Sauce. I don't think they're going to play games. I think they're going to extend him. They're not going to play any games. We're the Jets, Brian. We can't play those games. When we have talented players, we have to pay them. That's the way I see it, and hopefully Muji sees it the same way. Dick Chimney is the guy missing in the pool. I don't know what that means. Maybe because I don't hang out at pools that much. Hank G, I'm happy with the deal. We don't have to worry about wide receiver 1 for years to come if he delivers. Yeah, I mean, the fact is we got a good player on our team for a long term till 2030, which seems like a long time from now. But that's the way it is. That's the way it is. So don't let people get you down or get on your nerves with their little you gave him too much money. It's like, no, we really didn't. It's fair market value, and it's a future contract. He's not making 32.5 now. Keep that in mind. And also, he's only making 90 guaranteed. So the real number that's the other side of this. People always get everything wrong. 90 divided by 4 equals 22 and a half. So Garrett is really making 22 and a half. Why do I say that? Because if he doesn't perform, he's only going to get 22 and a half a year on average. It depends how we structure this thing, but only 90 is guaranteed, not 130. So he's guaranteed to get 22 and a half a year, not 32 and a half. He can make up to 32 and a half, and if he really performs, guess what? He'll be worth it. But if he's not worth it, then it's only 22 and a half. How does that feel? Feels a lot better, doesn't it? So this is really a 22.5 million per year contract for a really good wide receiver, which are hard to find, who wants to play for the Jets. And, that's the way it is. Big Green, he is the guy who pees in a pool. I don't know. He's just an asshole. Let's just put it the way, let's just really say what it is. Dick Chimney is an asshole. That's what he is. I mean, and you can tell by his reporting, it's constantly negative. Even on a day like today, which should be a happy Jet fan day. Today should be a happy day. One of the few on the calendar that we get to have. Another one will be if we sign Sauce. Another one will be if we sign AVT and John Simpson, which should also be on the list of things we got to get done. But he has to pour cold water on our heads on this day. One of the few happy days we get to have. Who does that? I'll tell you who. An asshole. That's who. I swear to God, wherever he shows up in public, people should just chuck tomatoes at him to let him know. I mean, we have to let the guy know somehow. I mean, talking about it on a live stream isn't going to get it done. He doesn't hear old Frankie. Somebody needs to throw tomatoes at that guy. I mean, because he's supposed to be a reporter, and he's reporting inaccurate information, deceiving information. The way they do it. He's giving you a list right here. Well, let's take a look at it. Hang on a second. Let's take a look at it so people understand what kind of an asshole this guy really is. Let's take a look at it. Rid of this. Get rid of this. Put this here. Jet beat riders. Let's share screen, shall we? Let's see. Screen 1 it's called. Yeah. See if this works. So here's the tweet. And you can see, he didn't even type it out. He did. Somebody had this on a piece of paper in Microsoft Word, and he just cut and pasted it. Most guaranteed money to wide receivers. And he's trying to make the case, wow, look at Garrett Wilson. How is he above A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown is a much more accomplished wide receiver, which is true. But it's deceiving because all these other players, Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, Brown, are, well, Lamb maybe not. And that would make it even more deceiving because I'm not sure when Lamb signed that one. But Chase almost certainly is. Brown certainly is. They're in the middle of those contracts now. So how is it relevant when a guy is in the middle of the contract where he's making the $84 million guaranteed, and another guy is not because it doesn't kick in until 2 years from now? And same thing with the APY. These APYs are incorrect. Garrett Wilson doesn't make 32.5 this year. He makes whatever he was scheduled to make as a first round pick, on his rookie deal, because his deal is not kicking in until 2027. So this is just called deceptive reporting. And when you're a reporter, your first obligation should be to the truth. Should be to the truth. And this is deceptive. And so that's why I think somebody has to make it clear to these reporters that we demand truth and not bullshit, which is what this is. And they say, well, but it's technically accurate. No. What you're trying to do with a tweet like this is throw cold water on the heads of Jet fans to say we overpaid for Garrett Wilson compared to his peers here. Because all these peers are better than Wilson's numbers that he's put up so far. Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, Brown. There's no way you could ever say that based on the numbers that they've put up so far in their careers, that Garrett Wilson, should be ahead of AJ Brown. And that's true. And so that's what he's trying to say without saying it, of course. I'm just reporting the numbers. See, and that's what they do. They play with these technicalities. I'm just reporting what the numbers are. How can you say that that's deceptive? You see? Do you see what the bullshit is? And that's what they do. That's why I'm saying somebody needs to just chuck some tomatoes at this guy, man. Seriously. Hank G says, Chimney, make sure that we talk about him when we. Well, that's a good point. But somebody also has to point out the problems with the media, Hank. And I think that's part of my role here. Uh, Big Green says, I wouldn't waste a tomato unless it was rotten. Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Throw the rotten tomatoes, not the good ones. Get a bunch of rotten tomatoes and you chuckle. That's what you do, Big Green. That's why you ever hear of Rotten Tomatoes, the website? That's where that comes from. You got rotten tomatoes sitting around the house anyway. What else are you going to do with them? Chuck them at Rich Samini's head. Who cares? Guy's a shithead. And he's supposed to be a reporter. He's supposed to be a journalist. And somebody has to point out, unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to do this, has to point out when you have someone who's just a straight up negative asshole like Rich Samini. I mean, Ryan Goldstein. Yes, I am. Here's how I know. This is a contract extension. Here's a real reporter, Connor Hughes. This is a contract extension, so it kicks in 2027. There you go. There's the reporting. One big benefit of this for Wilson, he's under contract through 2030. Will be 30 when the contract is over. Still in his prime. It's down the road, but this won't be his last payday. So there you go, Connor Hughes. This is an extension, as I said yesterday, Brian. As I said, it would be. They don't typically rip up the last years of your contract in this situation. They just extend you out. Because why would they? I mean, sometimes they do that, certain situation, but there was no reason to do that for him. He gets a massive deal, kicks in 2027. It's good for both parties. There it is. So we've already picked up the year 5 extension. So he's getting nice money now. I mean, he's not going to be a pauper. But here it is right here. Here's the reporting. And you notice the tone difference. And I say, when people are doing good reporting, let's call that out also. And I think, Connor Hughes is much better now these days after Greenbean and I got through with him a couple of years ago, put him through the ringer for what he was doing. Now he's doing better. And he's taking the positive side. So you see the difference, right? Look what Hughes is reporting and look what Cimini's doing, right? One's being positive and giving you the positive side of all this, and one's trying to be a dickhead and ruin your day. Which one should you respect, and which one should you chuck rotten tomatoes at? I think, people need to be fair about these things, and they need to be accurate. And what Rich Samini's posting is not accurate. So it's just so annoying. Deal with these news people. But that's why we have the Frankie Sports Programming Network, FSPN, because F ESPN. Fuck those guys, man. What good is a Dick Chimney anyway? What good has Dick Chimney ever done in the world, really? I mean, sometimes he breaks news. Okay, all right, he breaks some news, because some agent texted him something. Oh, it takes a lot of skill to receive a text from an agent. That's what these people do. That's all they do. They're sitting on their crapper, taking a dump, and a text comes in from CAA or Vayner Sports or somebody, Rosen Haas, and it says something, and it's like, okay, here's some exclusive information about my client, Sauce Gardner or whoever it is, And then they report it per source, blah, blah, blah. That's the job. Just receive a text, put it out on Twitter. How hard is that? And yet, the fact of the matter is, the fact that people aren't throwing Rotten Tomatoes at Cimini means, guess what? He gets to go teach a college course at Syracuse because he does do that. Like somebody said, wow, you're a respected reporter, journalist. Come teach a course at our college. What? This idiot? What? He receives text messages from agents. That's the job. How can you have a college course on receiving text messages? What is the course? 5 minutes? What do you do? Well, I give all the agents my cell number, and when they send out a group text to all the journalists, I'm one of the ones on there because I work for ESPN. Oh, okay, class over. All right, see you, everybody. Everybody gets an A. What kind of college course is Dick Chimney going to teach? Oh, well, step 1, work for ESPN. Step 2, give all the agents your cell phone number. Step 3, wait. That's it. That's the job. Oh, it's a very interesting job. I mean, let's have somebody teach a college course on that. Uh, it's so ridiculous. And these people think that like they're Woodward and Bernstein or something. But anyway, today is about Garrett Wilson. And the reason we're talking about that is we don't want anybody, journalists or other fans, to get on our nerves. What's going to happen, to recap, is people are going to say this is an overpay, whether it's a journalist like Dickhead Chimney or fellow fans, Buffalo fans, New England fans, Miami fans. They're all going to say, ha ha, you paid too much for Garrett Wilson. That's what they're going to say to you. And you're going to have to be able to handle this sort of thing. And I think the way we handle it is we just smile, we say, yeah, and we're happy to pay him. We're happy to pay him. Don't care one bit about the amount, because we all know it's going to be fair market value in 2 years. We're going to split it up into a signing bonus and spread it out over the life of the deal, and therefore it's not going to hurt us on the cap. He'll be well compensated. He'll be happy, and we got a good player in the fold for the long term. We're happy to pay it. You want to call it an overpay? All right, fine. We're happy to pay it. We are happy to pay it. We love Garrett Wilson, and this locks him in. Now let's get Sauce done. Let's get AVT done. Let's get John Simpson done. Let's get these people done. Lock down some of our young core. Maybe even Quincy. Although he's getting a little old. Maybe we could do a 2-year for Quincy with an optional 3rd year or something. I think Quincy, the thing about Quincy Williams is, his relatively smaller stature for a linebacker means that he probably could maintain his speed, maybe longer than an average, linebacker type. So you could even think about, even though he's getting a little bit long in the tooth, you could think about extending Quincy. And he is Quinnen's brother, so there is that. Apparently their third brother not very good, I guess. But but this young core, we got to get it locked down. This is sort of step 1. I think this is good news. It means Woody's not being cheap with the money as far as this is concerned, these type of things. I do think it's kind of curious the way we did free agency this year, which screams out to me that maybe Woody gave them a small cash budget this year, which again would not even play into the fact that these contracts are being signed, these extensions. It has nothing to do with this year. They don't kick in until 2027. So there you go. PC Salami, we just explained how it's not an overpay. But even if it is, it's only a slight overpay, and we have to do it. We're happy to do it. We're happy to do it. It doesn't kick in for 2 years. The market's going to look much different, and we don't care about the APY. We care about the cap, and the cap amount will be much, much less, as I've said. So, in all ways, it's not really an overpay. But if you want to look at it and say, wait a minute, that's an overpay, you know what? We're happy to pay it. We're happy to pay it. We're happy to give it to Garrett. We are the Jets. We stink. We are terrible. We're a bottom five franchise in this league right now. So if you think you can attract quality players, being a bottom five team, no, it doesn't work that way. So if we have to pay a little bit extra, fine. Fine. Who cares? First of all, it's not going to hurt us on the cap. Second of all, it's going to be very uh, market realistic in a couple of years. And if it's a little bit extra than what he should have got, fine. Fine. It's not going to hurt us in any way, shape, or form. And if anything, it shows players, hey, you perform here, we'll give you money. You know, that's the other thing nobody's talking about. What about all this talk where, there was all this consternation about, well, the Jets never extend anybody. Joe Douglas never extended anybody. And my thing was, who do you want him to extend? We extended Quinnen. Quinnen got big money. Where we extended Michael Carter. Michael Carter got paid for a slot corner. And now here's another contract, Garrett Wilson. And then there's going to be another one, Sauce Gardner. So there's going to be. So this is a good sign that, hey, if we draft you and you perform here, you can make money. You know what I'm saying? You can make your money here. We're not going to play games. And look, if we have to overpay, and the other thing, keep in mind, there is a tax ramification to this. So you got to give people a little bit extra to account for New Jersey taxes. So what about that? I mean, it's much different than Dallas or Houston or the three teams here in Florida. Garrett's got to pay tax on that. So you got to adjust it upward. Flatbush Dre is here. Talking about Garrett Wilson, Flatbush Dre. PC Salami out in Asia. We need to pay a lot to keep top level players. We can't be cheap. Spreading it out to keep the cap space manageable is good. Yeah. So again, there's nothing bad about this. Don't let anybody tell you there's anything bad about any of this. Don't worry about dead money. We don't have a dead cap problem. There'll be dead. There's always some dead money on the books, Hank. It's not a problem. We don't have a big problem. The New Orleans Saints have a big problem. We don't. Now, Rodgers will be off the books by then. Rodgers comes off the books next year. But that's Rodgers. There's going to be other dead money. It's not but it's not a problem. There's actually nothing wrong with this contract. Not one thing. I don't care what people say. There's zero wrong with this contract. There's going to be zero. And what this also tells me too, Sauce Gardner probably is going to be made the number one corner. He's going to probably top the market. If this is what we're paying Garrett, who doesn't have any All Pros or Pro Bowls, what are we going to have to pay Sauce, who has 2 All Pros and Pro Bowls? So we're going to have to probably pay Sauce to be the number one. And then people will say the same thing. Yeah, ha, ha, you overpaid and he wasn't as good last year as the previous 2. Blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't matter. We have to pay what we have to pay in Jetland. We have to think about New Jersey state tax. We have to think about, the fact that we stink and it's harder to acquire and keep these type of players. And so that means we got to pay a little bit extra. Fine. It's fine. There's no problems. We're going to spread out the cap hits. It's not a problem at all. And it doesn't kick in for 2 years, and it's going to be the same exact thing for Sauce. So the cap space we have, that 30 million that's just sitting there, we're going to still have it after all these extensions. We're still going to have 30 for this year. And why aren't we signing other players that could help the team, like a safety? Like Justin Simmons is still out there. Julian Blackman's still out there. Zadarius Smith is still out there. Jadeveon Clowney's still out there. These are players that can help us. And we have 30 mil just sitting there. So, I mean, I'd like somebody to tell me Who's the strong safety on this team anyway? Somebody tell me in the chat. Who's our strong safety right now? I mean, we got people sitting out there who could really improve this roster. We don't need this year's cap space for these extensions. They don't kick in for 2 years typically. And uh you know, but we got this 30 million. Well, maybe we want to roll it over, but you can't roll over that much. You can only roll over so much. PC says, "Oh, I see we get XP here now. How many XPs do we need to level up?" Do you think I know that, PC? I don't know. XP it. How do you get XP? You think I know? You think they told me? I have no idea. Somebody needs to tell me. Somebody needs to tell me how the XP work. I'm lucky I could get online and get a microphone to work. I get an F today. Yeah, and that's why. Remember when we were talking about this? I don't know. Were you here yesterday, PC, when we were doing coffee with Frankie? And yeah, I had people telling me, "Well, our defense is going to do uh, different things this year." Okay, we don't even know who our strong safety is. What kind of different things are we going to do when you don't even have a strong safety? All I've ever heard anybody talking about this offseason with our safety situation was, "Wow, it's great that we got Austin, that we got Andre Cisco." Okay, yeah, is he the strong safety? Because all anybody talks about with Cisco is what a great ball hawk he is. Well, ball hawking is typically a free safety job, although strong safeties they both play back sometimes. But strong safety is in the box more often, but also does need to cover. So all these people telling me we're going to do all this stuff with our defense, who's our strong safety? Our ball hawk? So the ball hawking Andre Cisco is going to be the strong safety? Then who's the free safety? Tony Adams? So, I mean, the people who are talking about our defense is going to do this, that, and the other thing, we don't even know who the safeties are. I mean, we know Cisco's going to play, but my inclination is that Andre Cisco is the strong safety. But all I ever hear about people talking about is his ball hawking, which he has like 8 career interceptions, which isn't nothing, but hey. Joe Buda. I love Frankie's chimney rants. Well, somebody's got to do it, Joe. Somebody has to point out the deficiencies in our media because it's very important. So many people get their information and their ideas and their opinions from the media, Joe. And so we gotta push back, and we gotta give credit where credit's due. I said Country Club Connor Hughes, give credit where it's due. He's doing good reporting, good, fair, honest reporting. And when something's positive, he tells you it's positive. When something's negative, he tells you it's negative. But to take a day like today and dump cold water on Jet fans' heads is just not appropriate, in my opinion. It just isn't, because there's absolutely nothing, zero, wrong with what happened today. Absolutely nothing. Not one thing, as we've been talking about. And so to try to imply that we paid too much for Garrett is just a loser thing to do. He's just a loser, Dick Chimney. What a dickhead. So yeah, I mean, it's just annoying. But and so this doesn't affect the other thing. This doesn't affect our cap space, and we have 30 mil. Now, what is Muji and company going to do with that? That is an open question. There's plenty of guys out there that can help. I mean, we had a conversation yesterday about Michael Clemens, and Joe Mike couldn't understand why he's still on the roster, and the reason is we don't have anybody better than him because we didn't sign anybody or draft anybody that could push him off the roster. And he was below average last year, but we don't have anybody better. Right now, Michael Clemens is defensive end 3 on this team. So you can't just release somebody just for and then get worse. Why are you going to make yourself even worse? So, So I think it'll be interesting to see if there's anything else up. And another, I guess, another aspect of this is let's get these things done, get them behind us. Let's get Sauce done, AVT, Simpson, bang, 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 get them all done, and then let's sign some people to help out this defense. You know, one of the things I didn't like that Coach Wilkes said, he said, this defense, this defense, on this defense, we're going to drive the bus from the back. How many people saw the interview with Coach Wilkes? He said, in this defense, we're going to drive the bus from the back. Did you hear that one? I kind of understand what he's saying, but I don't love that approach. What he's saying is if your defensive backs and corners can tackle, then you can have a good defense because it assumes your front seven can tackle and shed blocks and stuff. And then if your back end people can also tackle and shed blocks, etc., wow, then you can really have a great defense. Only problem is we don't have defensive linemen that can do that. We got a bunch of bums that we signed. So I don't know. I don't quite understand that approach. I still don't. From defense, whether it's defensive end or defensive tackle or linebacker three. We had a conversation yesterday about linebacker three. Who's our linebacker three exactly? We're going to be running a 4-3 defense. Who's our third linebacker? Anybody know? Anybody care to guess in the chat? So we don't know our strong safety. We don't know who our linebacker three is. We signed a bunch of minimum vet contracts for defensive tackles. Cowart, Nadi, Tufele. And when you sign guys like that to a minimum veteran minimum contract, that means the rest of the league looked at those players and said no thank you. That's what that means. The other 31 teams did not offer more than the vet minimum. The least you could pay somebody with that service years. So how good are those people going to be? If 31 teams said, we don't want to pay anything for them, or we'll pay them the vet minimum, but then they chose here because they would get more playing time. How good are those people going to be? Oh, we're going to drive the defense from the back. Oh, okay. Well, the steering wheel's in the front, but we're going to drive it from the back. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So, I don't know. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about the defense. I'm a little worried. I got to say. All right, here's Dick Chimney again. A few thoughts. It's a proactive move by the regime, which marks a departure from past practice. All right, so he's being positive here. So he probably kind of realized he needed to balance it out. In the past, the organization was known to drag its feet with high profile players, sometimes leading to acrimony. This is a clear message that it wants to build with young, homegrown players and that it considers Wilson a foundational player. Now the trick is, and then of course he throws in the negative. Now the trick is finding a franchise QB he can grow with. Justin Fields gets first crack at it. If he doesn't work out, the Jets will have a $32 million receiver and a new quarterback in 2026. Of course, he's not going to be making $32 million in 2026. So again, Cimini lies. I mean, just straight up lies. In 2026, the Jets will not have a $32 million receiver because this doesn't kick in until 2027. So Cimini just lies, lies, lies. Even when he's saying something positive about the organization, then he has to throw in the quarterback. What does the quarterback have to do with this? Now the trick is finding a franchise. We all know that. Oh, but he has. Don't get too excited, Jet fans, because don't forget you don't have a quarterback. Ha ha ha! Man, do I hate this guy. What a scumbag. I mean, can he just say anything positive and just leave it at that? You know? No, he has to throw in. Don't forget, you don't have a quarterback. Ha ha ha! Kiko. So Bradigan's here. He says, "What about Kiko? A 5th-round pick that was the 20th ranked linebacker. He's going to be good." Bradigan, where's your evidence of that? Nobody had Kiko Mawaroa as anything worth drafting, but we did. Yeah, maybe he'll work out. I don't know. But if you're counting on the 20th ranked linebacker And remember, there's a very big drop off after the top five. Uh, you're probably going to be disappointed. Bartlett, yeah, we got this Bartlett guy from Cincinnati. What about him? Will be our special linebacker signing, diamond in the rough, who we will coach up. Well, your mouth to God's ears, PC Salami. But a UDFA out of Cincinnati, who nobody's ever heard of. Yeah. So in other words, we have nobody. And we got a bunch of guys, and maybe one of these guys will emerge. Let's hope so. But right now, it's not looking pretty. It's not looking solid. Now, the good news is the third linebacker, even though we run what's called a 4-3 defense, the third linebacker is on the field very, very few snaps because we mostly run nickel. We're going to be running 70-75% nickel. So the third linebacker spot is not as important as it was back in the day when you had a 4-3 defense, the third linebacker was on the field a lot. These days, they're really not. Player like Michael Carter and whoever the backup nickel is going to be, which I think the big nickel is going to be Malachi Moore. That's what I think. The big nickel. Those two, or whoever that is, the nickel and the big nickel are much more important in this defense, in modern day defense, than your third linebacker. So that's the good news. We got a bunch of dudes. We got Kiko. We got Zaire Barnes. We do have Jamin Davis, former first round pick. That would be my guess as who wins the job, and hopefully one of them emerges. You never know, So if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Jamin Davis. First round pedigree. He's got to be good at something. I mean, somebody thought he was good enough to take in the first round. The commander. I mean, it was the Commanders under what's his name, Riverboat Ron Rivera. But still, some of these other guys who are fifth round picks and UDFAs, Jamin Davis could probably be better than them, you would think. And God only knows what went wrong with Jamin Davis. I mean, they were pretty. I remember Rivera sort of defending that pick. People said at the time it was a stretch. What are you picking this guy in the first round for? And he was, he was pretty ecstatic to get him. Riverboat Ron Rivera, former member of the 1985 Chicago Bears, if you remember that. But even if he's not, worth a first round pick in terms of talent, third round, fourth round, he's probably better than these fifth rounders and UDFAs, you would think. JoJo's here. JoJo was a man from Tucson, Arizona. Reminds me of other LB Davis. No, well, Jared Davis. You're talking about Jared Davis. Jared Davis. Well, see, this is what I was getting at. So Jared Davis had a problem in that he was a big hitter, and he was kind of fast, but his problem was diagnosing plays. It was the mental part of the game that he didn't really click with as much as he could have. If he ever did, he would actually be good. Now, Jamin Davis, I don't really know what his problem is. This is what I was getting at. I mean, he was a first round pick. The Commanders thought the world of him, Riverboat Ron. And then he got in there and was a disappointment. But I don't exactly know why and what happened with his game. So if we get confirmation that, I mean, that would be a good, that would be a good like film study. If we got confirmation, hey, this guy's going to play a role, pretty big role for the defense. I would maybe do a film study on him. Figure out, what went wrong with Washington? What was the problem exactly? Jared, and the other problem with the comparison is that we signed Jared Davis to a relatively large contract. It was one of the first contracts that JD signed in free agency of the Douglas regime, and he wasn't worth the money. I mean, that was part of the problem. We gave a guy who you had to squint to say, oh, this guy's going to be a part of your defense. And we gave him decent money in free agency, whereas Jamin Davis is just he's not making any money. I believe at minimum, 1 million, 2 million. He's not making any money. So that's the other problem. When you sign a guy to big money, that's saying you believe he is going to be a big part of your team. When you take a flyer on a guy for 1-2 million, if he emerges, you're thrilled. But if not, you just cut him and bye bye, see you later. So that's the difference, JoJo. Relative value. Something else that Jet fans should improve their knowledge upon. Relative value. All right, just checking X now for any other information, and seems to be quieting down. So Samini, Rosenblatt, Country Club have all had their say. They're really the only. The other thing, Brian Costello says, Jets get it done with Garrett. Here's another negative Nelly. Jets get it done with Garrett. Now all eyes turn to Sauce. Like you can't give the positive without saying, "Oh, worry about Sauce Gardner. What about Sauce? We'll get Sauce done." But the three reporters that actually matter are Samini, Hughes, and Rosenblatt. The other guys are really not. They never break anything. And the reason is that who they work for: ESPN, The Athletic, and SNY. All the other little guys like Brian Costello. Does Brian Costello ever break any news? Does what's his name, Andy Vasquez, ever break any news? No, because the agents don't even know who he is. That's how you break news. Yeah, the agent sends you a text message. All right. Any other questions, concerns? It's a good day to be. Let's just recap right now. It's a good day to be a Jet fan. Today is a happy day. We extended Garrett Wilson. He's going to be here long term. There is zero negativity about this contract. Is it a little bit of an overpay? You could make the argument, but as Jet fans, we should smile and say we're happy to pay a little extra. We play in New Jersey. New Jersey is a shithole with high taxes where you don't get very much for your money in state income taxes, which he will have to pay. He is a resident of New Jersey. And also, we're the Jets. We're in the ghetto of the NFL. And so we have to pay a little bit extra to get talent. And the contract does not kick in for another 2 years. Therefore, he's not making 32 now. He'll be making it in 2 years when the market catches up to him. So any list you see should be disregarded because those other players are in their big-time contract now, whereas Garrett will be in 2 years, and the market will evolve and change. This is a forward-thinking regime who got this done early. They didn't wait until another year and make a guy upset. Get it done. Everybody's happy, and it shows the other players, hey, if you come here and you perform, you can get paid. We may not be the greatest team in the world. We may not have a franchise quarterback here. We play in New Jersey where the weather is horrible and there's a high state income tax and you can't even pump your own gas. And when you shake hands with a girl, you're going to get mononucleosis. We understand that it's not a great situation. So we will even pay you a little bit extra to be here because we get it. It's not exactly Shangri-La over here. Okay. The weather is horrible. You got, and we don't even play in a dome stadium. We're going to play on a frozen concrete stadium with an artificial surface, in a stadium that looks like a giant air conditioner that people have to spend 6 hours in traffic each way to get to. We get it. It's not the best. So we're happy to pay a little bit extra for all those reasons. And so remember, if anybody tries to tell you we overpaid, you just tell them no. You don't even have to tell them no. You can just smile and say, yep, we're happy. And we're happy to do it. Happy to do it for Garrett, for the right people. Happy to do it for Garrett. Happy to do it for Sauce. Happy to do it for AVT. Happy to do it for John Simpson. We're happy to do it. We understand. We're not the Ravens. We're not the 49ers. We're not the Lions now. We're not the Rams. We're not, the Bills. We're not these teams. We're not the Chiefs. We got to do things the way we got to do them. You know what I'm saying? We got our way. La cosa nostra. Our thing. Our thing. We got to do it our way out here in New Jersey. That's how we got to do it. So don't let anybody get you down. Don't let anybody tell you, hey, you paid too much. Just smile. and say, we were happy to do it. We're happy to get Garrett Wilson back here, to get Sauce Gardner here, to get all these people here. It's a good day to be a Jet fan. Don't let the media get you down like the Dick Chimneys. That guy needs to have Rotten Tomatoes thrown at him wherever he goes in public. And don't let any of the other fans just smile. Don't have to get upset. Don't have to correct them. Just say, yeah, we overpaid. We're happy to do it. Even though you know it's not really an overpay, maybe a little tiny bit, but you know what? We're happy to pay it. We're happy to pay it. We got to do what we got to do, our thing here in New Jersey. That's how we got to do it. And if this is what we got to do, fine, we'll do it. You know what I'm saying? So don't let anybody get you down. It's a good day to be a Jets fan. And hopefully we get a few more of these contract extensions in the next couple of weeks and days to give us a few more days of happiness. And don't let anybody get you down. That's a message from old Frankie. All right, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.